Well, hello to today's message. Um, Today's message is all about respect and reproof. So respect must be paid to dignity of the years and place. The younger is faulty, must be rebuked, not as desirous to find fault with them, but as willing to make the best of them. There is need of much meekness and care in reproving those who deserve reproof. So to start today's message off, guess I'll be entitling this message reproof and instruction when we see those brothers or sisters falling off the wayside. So starting off in the first letter of Timotheus, chapter 5, you might know as Timothy. Do not scold an elder, instead implore them as a father, younger men as brothers. The first letter to Timotheus 5:1. Rebuke not an elder. The word elder here is not used in the sense in which it often is, to denote an officer of the church, a presbytery, but in its proper and usual sense to denote an aged man. This is evidence because the apostle immediately mentions in contradistinction from the elder, the younger men, where it cannot be supposed that he refers to them as officers. The command to treat an elder as a father also shows the same thing, but the direction not to rebuke is not to be supposed that the minister of the scripture is not to admonish the aged, or that he is not to show them their sins, but when they go astray, but that he is to do this as he would to a father. He is not to assume a harsh, dictational and genocidatory manner. The recipients of religion always respect the proprieties of life and never allow us to transgress them, even when the object is to reclaim a soul from error and to save one who is wandering. Besides, when this is in the aim, it will always be most certainly accomplished by observing respect due to others on account of office, relation, rank, or age. But entreat him as a father, as you would a father. That is, do not harshly denounce him. Endeavour to persuade him to lead a more honoured life, one of things for which the ancients were remarkable above most of the modern, and for which the Orientals are still distinguished with respect for age. Few things are enjoined with more explicitness and emphasis in the scriptures than this. We'll look at some scriptures from Leviticus 19:12, Job 29. I'll leave that for you to read because that's the whole chapter. Proverbs 20:20. Proverbs 30:17, and we'll also be comparing Daniel 7:9-10 and Revelations 1:14-15 and some other scriptures onwards as well. The apostle would have Timothy, and for the same reason every other minister of the scriptures, a model of this virtue, and the younger men as a brethren, that is, treat him as you would your own brothers. Do not consider them as aliens, strangers, or enemies, but entertain towards them, even when they go astray, the kindly feelings of a brother. This refers more particularly to his private conversation with them, and to his personal efforts to reclaim them when he had fallen into sin. When those efforts were ineffectual, and they sinned openly, he was to rebuke them before all, in 1 Timotheus 5:20, that others might be deterred from following their example. So let's look at the scripture and see what they say. Leviticus 19:32. Rise up before the grey-headed, and you shall favour the face of an old man, and shall fear the mighty ones, Elohim. I am Yahweh. I would suggest reading all of Job 29, but due to the length of this did not share here, but they're wise words by him worth studying. Proverbs 20:20. Whoever curses his father or his mother, his lamp is put out in in deep darkness. Proverbs 30:17. An eye that mocks his father and scorns to obey his mother, ravens of the wadi dig it out, and younger eagles eat it. Daniel, unsealed, chapter 7, or Daniel. I was gazing until there were thrones set in place, and the Ancient One of Days, he took seat. His clothing is as white as snow, and the hair of his head is white as wool. His throne is flame of fire, his wheels are blazing fire. A river of fire was flowing and issuing from before him. Millions attended him, and 100 millions stood before him. The court was seated, and the scrolls were opened, 7 seals opened. The word of Yahweh, disclosure of Yakahanan, or Revelations chapter 1. And his head and the hair are white, like wool is white, like snow is white, and his eyes are a blaze of lightning. And his feet are, number 15, and his feet are similar to fine brass of lavone, as if glowing in a furnace, and his voice is as the sound of many waters. Also seen in Jeremiah 51:16, which is Jeremiah, sorry. The first letter to Timotheus, chapter 5, verses 18 and 19. To do good works, to be rich in works of virtue, to be liberal in distributing, and to fellowship. Treasure up for themselves a virtuous foundation for the future, in order that they may lay hold on endless life. Excuse me. Deuteronomy 33:9. Who said of his father and mother, I have not seen them, and he did not acknowledge his brothers. I know his own children, for they have guarded your word and watched over your covenant. The word being Yahushua, as you'll know if you study scripture carefully, and from previous videos given here. Galatians 2:11-14. And when Keph had come to Antioch, I withstood him to his face, because he was at fault. For before some come from Jacob, he was eating with the Gentiles, but when they came, he began to withdraw and separate himself in fear of those of the circumcision. And the rest of the Yehudim joined him in hypocrisy, so that even Barnabas was led away from their hypocrisy. But when I saw that they are not walking straight according to the truth of the good news, I said to Keph before them all, if you, being a Yehudite, living as a Gentile, not as a Yehudim, why do you compel Gentiles to live as Yehudim? Elders or fathers? The first letter to Timotheus, chapter 5, verses 17. Charge to those ones rich within the present age to not be high-minded, nor to have confidence on the uncertainty of riches, instead to entrust on the living mighty ones, who richly gives over to us all things for our full enjoyment. Deeds of the Delegates, Acts chapter 14, verse 23. And having chosen elders for them in every convocation, having prayed with fasting, they committed them to our sovereign, on whom they had believed. Deeds of the Delegates, chapter 15. And when they arrived at Jerusalem, the convocation and the delegates and the elders welcomed them, and they reported all that Yahweh did with them. Deeds of the Delegates, chapter 20, which is Acts, in case you don't know. Having sent from Miletus for Ephesus, he summoned the elders of the convocation. The letter of Paulus to Titus, chapter 1. I left you in Crete for this reason, in order that you might further straighten the deficient things, and that you might appoint elders in each city as I ordered you. Only if one is unaccused, a man of one woman, who possesses believing, children who are not charged with depravity or insubordination. For the elder needs to be unaccused as a house manager, not self-pleasing, not bad-tempered, not given to wine, not violent, not greedy for foul gain. Instead, the elder needs to be hospitable to strangers, a lover of good, self-controlled, righteous, kind, and self-content. The elder must be in truth and right standing. Second letter of Yochanan, or John, chapter 1. The elder to the chosen lady of the Virgin of Israel, and her sons, whom I affectionately love in truth, yet not I alone, rather also all those who have acknowledged the truth, through the truth which abides with us, and shall be with us for the ages. Favour, compassion, and peace be with you from Yahweh, the Father, and from the sovereign Yahushua, the Anointed, the Son of the Father, in truth and affectionate love. I rejoice exceedingly that I have found some from your sons walking within the truth, as we have received commandment from the Father. Also seen in 1 Yochanan 3:23 or 1 John 3:23, and Matthew or Matthew 17:5. 1 Timothy 5:1-2 from the Henry Commentary. Here the Apostle gives rules to Timothy, and in him to other ministers in reproving ministers of reprovers by office. It is a part through the least pleasing part of their office, and they are to preach the scripture, to reprove and rebuke. The second letter to Timotheus, chapter 4. Proclaim the word Yahushua, and stand firm, opportunely or in opportunity, to reprove, admonish, and implore with all patience and instruction. A great difference is to be made in our reproofs according to the age, quality, and other circumstances of the person rebuked. Thus, the elder in age or office must be entreated as a father. On some have compassion, making a difference. General letter of Yehuphah, or Jude, chapter 1. So indeed, pity some who make a separation. Now the rule is 1. To be very tender in rebuking elders in age, elders by office. Respect must be had to the dignity of their years and place, and therefore they must not be rebuked sharply, nor magisterially. But Timothy himself, through an evangelist, must entreat them as fathers, for this would be the likeliest way to work upon them and to win upon them. The youngest must be rebuked as brethren, with love and tenderness, not as desirous to spy fault or pick quarrels, but as being willing to make the best of them. There is a need of a great deal of meekness in reproving those who deserve proof. The elder must be reproved when there is occasion, as mothers. Hosea 2:2. Strive with your mother, strive, for she is not my wife, nor I am her husband. Let her put away her whorings from her face, and her adulteries from between her breasts. Point 4. The younger woman must reprove, but reproved as sisters with all purity. If Timothy so mortified a man to this world and to the flesh and lusts of it, had need of such a caution as this, much more have we. 1 Timothy 5:1 from the Geneva Commentary. Rebuke not an elder, nor entreat him as a father, and the younger men as brethren, of giving personal reprehension appropriately according to degrees of ages and gender. Then Matthew sums up why the ages were to be treated in different ways, which is the Matthew Henry Commentary from 1 Timothy 5:1-2. Respect must be paid to the dignity of years and place. The younger, if fault, must be rebuked, not as desirous to find fault with them, but as willing to make the best of them. There is need of much meekness and care in reproving those who deserve reproof. So I hope you've enjoyed today's message on reproving and deserving reproof. May Yahweh always guide you. May you always call upon his son, Yahweh Yahushua, and may you be blessed like I am blessed.